YouTube. Uh, Going on live at 5. Here pretty soon of that. We'll be cranking her up, discussing all the news and topics of the day like there isn't anything else that going on. One thing, I don't know, they ought to do a statistical study on 2020. This has got to be I mean, I don't recall anything where it's just like the stories like each and every day. There's like 10 gazillion of them. It's not like, there's not like there's a slow news day in 2020. Every day's like, I mean, every other year you get breaks and gaps and this stuff where things that just kind of roll through and mundane and this and not 2020, man. It's like full on, full tilt. We're ready to rock and roll, getting after it. Of that, we're going to hit Facebook Live here in a second. That funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Newswire on Facebook and the aforementioned YouTube, which we fired up on that. It's always going to be a good show, and why you saw me cracking up when the equipment's falling over right as the start of the show on the deal. And it always seems to happen that way. I mean, soon as the show starts, if anything's going to happen, that's when it will on this stuff. Fun day today of that. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. Cliff Cummings will be on at the bottom of the hour on that to give he hasn't been on in a while, so we'll see what old Cliff has to say. Owner of Toyota San Bernardino and Subaru San Bernardino and I-10 of that. The fire's devastating. I think they just updated 9 are dead up in the Butte fire up in Northern California, and on top of that, dozens to hundreds are missing up in that whole area. And one thing, and there's going to be a big debate on this, and you already hear some of them trying to roll it out of, here it is, it's going to be global warming causing this, yada, yada, yada. Well, why is it 23 degrees below zero today in the past couple of days on that? And, they're not going to blame, or there's going to be the crowd that's not going to blame exactly what's been going on. And we haven't been maintaining our forest and doing those kinds of things that we should be. But here's an update on the Bear Fire up there in Northern California and is spreading into Oregon and the big ones in Washington. This is a KCRA3 report out of Sacramento.
We are near the western edge of the North Complex Bear Fire, and this is an area where overnight crews actually burned this area out. They set fire to this area in a backfire to protect some nearby homes.
I just want to stop right there. That's what they should be doing prior to the start of fire season, and that's what they did do. They would take areas and do backfires, clearing out dead wood and things like that. So when a fire starts, it doesn't spread like a wild storm with equivalent of 110 octane race fuel, as in dead areas and things like that, and there are no fire breaks for the firefighters if something does break out, that they can actually maintain this stuff. Here we go with the rest of the report.
Here's some video of crews overnight doing that. This fire crew coming all the way from Reno, Sparks, Carson City, and Lake Tahoe to help battle this blaze. And overnight, after checking some of the nearby homes for any victims and those that needed help evacuating, they went to work backfiring this area under very cool and calm conditions. With drip torches and flares, they set fire to what they describe as a pocket of fuel that had been surrounded by fire, but this area didn't burn. So overnight and this morning, while conditions were very calm and cool, they burned this area out on their terms, and it was a textbook backfire. As the flames creeped along the ground. They kept it out of the crown of the trees and got rid of all those fuels on the ground that could eventually carry fire up into the canopy of the trees and then cast embers into some of the nearby homes that survived the fire. So that was a strategy carried out overnight, and those fire crews went home confident that they've protected nearby neighborhoods.
This huge jackpot of fuel right here. So what we did is we brought it around the corner, and we brought it around, brought the fire out this way, and then we started it from here, and it's all stuck together.
As part of those backfires, crews also came through and cut down a lot of the brush right along the road's edge. They also cut back some of the containment lines around the homes that survived here as well to give them a better chance should the fire flare back up. So that's some of the work that they're doing on the interior of the fire, while other crews are working on the exterior of the fire to continue building containment lines under cool and calm conditions. But they are expecting a shift in the wind, which will test containment lines on the other end of the incident.
So again, now you're seeing a real-life demonstration for all of you that didn't or haven't seen this of what should have been done prior to the fire season, and it should have been done for decades and has not been, because the environmental fruitcakes are saying, it's going to cause all these fires. So now they've created the scenario when the fires break out, and they can say, it's because of global warming. We had the hottest day of the year, Sunday or whatever, yada, yada. No mention of it today when it's 78 degrees or whatever the hell it was. How did it become global warming on today? Climate changes. Climate changes every day. Every nanosecond climate changes. There is no difference. The difference is, for decades, especially in California, Oregon, and Washington especially, we have not been doing what the firefighters were doing once the fire broke out, is starting backfires, clearing out dead brush, clearing out, debris and brush and flame fuel around homes, housing areas and stuff. So if something does happen, they've got a buffer between that and they can protect that. That's what we have not been doing. That's what they should have been doing. Should have been allowing the fire department and everything to do those kinds of things on top of that. But we haven't, and we're paying the price for it. We're paying the price for it in billions of dollars in property destruction. Now it's probably going to be hundreds of lives. There's been thousands in the past couple of years. Yeah, if global warming was on wire, because they did start doing them in a limited basis after the past devastating 2 or 3 years of the fires, a very limited basis, taking care of some of this stuff, so it isn't quite as bad on that. But it's all in a day's work of what we're doing for this stuff. We call her the witch, Dr. Barbara Ferrer. She's the non-doctor doctor down in LA County that's doing that. And she was caught on tape. KFI played it. You don't think this is all political or that or some of the stuff? Well, this will all be over. Things will change after the election. This is on the John and Ken show on KFI. Steve Gregory got a tape. Just to let you hear a little bit of that. She's at a Zoom meeting with some of her staff, or some of the school staff, not her staff, school staff, explaining what's going on with coronavirus, what we're going to do. So we're going to play you the audio of this right now.
Other education and medical professionals, and the basic premise of the phone call was to update everyone on the status of where the county is with respect to opening schools. Now, I listened to the audio, and I'm just going to play this. This is an excerpt from this audio, but I'm just going to play it now and then let you folks react, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
So I just want to say, for one thing, you listen carefully to this, and you're going to have to pick it up. We might have to pick up the volume a little bit on this because it's kind of low when she starts talking. So here's Dr. Barbara Ferrer from a tape sent to John and Ken show to Steve Gregory. Here we go.
And then what is the experience around cases and outbreaks when we open, even for a relatively small number of people to be on campus? So we don't realistically anticipate that we would be moving to either Tier 2 or to reopening K through 12 schools at least until after the election, after, in early November. Like when we just look at the timing of every.
There you go. After the election. Isn't that kind of curious? Well, LA has some of the lowest COVID cases. They're dropping, deaths are dropping, hospitalizations, and that's where the hot spot has been in most of California, has been in LA County, in the greater Los Angeles area. And even they're declining on most of the statistics and on that. But we're not opening schools till after the election. Food for thought, and I get fire still in my mind, food for thought of this. What more proof do you need? This is not about COVID-19 or whether you're going to kill your parents or grandma or whatever, your neighbor, if you go outside. It's all about control. It's all about political power and keeping you on the plantation. There's no clear aspect of this, I think, than that little slip up that they probably didn't think was going to leak out on that, but it did. And here you go on what's going on in the whole deal of that. And we look each and every day of what's going on, and just to see that here, another thing that broke out in L.A. This is a KNBC 4 report about some great individuals that had enough of the homeless. So here we go with the video.
There are some who feel that the effort is taking too much time and burning through too many of your tax dollars. Our investigative reporter, Joel Grover, got a look at a major audit that'll be released tomorrow by the LA City Controller. In it, numbers that tell their own story.
The Summit View apartments are now under construction in the North Valley. 49 apartments for the homeless, built at a whopping $739,000 a unit. That's way more than it costs to build some luxury condos in the LA area.
That is completely unacceptable. And there are many ways in which you can build faster and cheaper.
LA City Controller Ron.
There you go. There's the city controller. Almost $750,000 a copy per unit for housing for the homeless, supposedly, in L.A. That $1.5 billion bond you suckers passed, supposed to build 10,000 units. You're going to get like 500 of luxury apartments costing more than luxury apartments in downtown L.A. You don't think these politicians are shoveling money, getting money under the table from the contractors that are getting almost $750,000 per unit for that? And you were talked into that. What, the LA Mission guy said we can build them for $15,000 a piece and house people, the homeless or whomever. And they're doing this. The graft and corruption, and Galprin, the LA controller, well, this is too much. We're doing an audit and yada, yada, yada. Well, no kidding. Why aren't people going to jail over this? That's what should be happening across the board on this. Here's another one of the people who took matters in their own hands. That was the one on the cost. Here's the one on ABC 7, Miriam Hernandez. You won't believe this.
A row of boulders placed under a freeway underpass. Now, no one is quite sure who put them there, but as Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez tells us, homeless advocates say it may be part of a secretive plot to keep the homeless from sleeping in one neighborhood.
A scene shared by thousands on social media. Rocks, big ones, placed where homeless people often camp beneath the I-10 freeway in West Los Angeles.
It was shock. I had never seen of hostile architecture that was so blatant and so honestly obtrusive.
Not just a few rocks, homeless advocates who responded counted 60 boulders, some splotched in red, lining the sidewalk on Cattaraugus Avenue. Rallying help, the group Koreatown for All muscled many out of the way.
I would probably say the lighter ones were probably 80 pounds. Most of them probably ranged from 200 to 500 pounds.
Social media posts blame members of the South Robertson Neighborhood Council, which swiftly sent out this tweet stating, "For the record, the Soro Neighborhood Council never voted on or discussed the installation of these rocks." Suspicions swirl. Was it the work of a wealthy individual with access to heavy equipment, or perhaps a group of anti-homeless vigilantes? What is clear is that the community is divided on this rock drop. While many people denounce it, many others praise whoever did it, even this neighbor.
There's been a lot of fighting, especially a lot of trash around under this bridge. Most people, they go around because they don't want to walk around under the bridge.
Advocates appeal for compassion. The underpass has been needed especially recently for homeless people, a shady place, a refuge during...
There you go. There's the guy, even the guy at the residence there. This is in Koreatown under the I-10 bridge, and some very concerned citizens, let's put it that way, said, we're going to put a stop to this building their stuff on there. They're going to line the place up with rocks and say, okay, make it more difficult for them to build their little encampments on there. And you have... Again, it's like, oh, these wealthy people were doing this and yada, 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 coming on and back and forth. So you do this each and every time on the deal on that, and it doesn't work. We're going to 45. But that's why we're we you can't emphasize enough. The dominant media is trying to shape the narrative on this stuff. But we got Stephanie up coming in for a segment on this. Here you go. We're going to take a look at that, and I just kind of want to get your perspective coming forward. As we said, we're getting down to that less than 60 days to the election. Things are, and now finally it's starting to heat up. You're actually seeing Sleepy Joe out on the campaign trail.
Is he awake?
Yeah.
What?
Barely, but yeah, we should run some of the clips of that because Sleepy Joe is like the, you couldn't have come up with a better nickname in the condition of that. The Atlantic even, and that's, believe me, the Atlantic magazine is no right-wing conspiracy, and they ran a deal, and this was kind of interesting. They said, kind of like rumors going around, Biden's, they're going to come out with a deal that Biden is not medically able to continue the campaign, which I think, if it was Fox News or Breitbart or something, you'd have just said, okay, they're just trying to say that. But, that came out.
Okay, but what happens if he is removed from the campaign?
Kamala's it.
Really?
From the Democratic side. Then
they wouldn't pick another president? And then
no, I think...
But then she would have to pick a new VP then,
yes,
right?
Okay. She would. But if she... this is my understanding.
This seems like a setup.
That's what a lot of people have been saying. And, okay, a lot of people, and a lot of the ones on the show, and I've kind of shied away from it. I didn't really think it was, but, like Tom Del Beccaro, Cliff Cummings, and a lot of them have said that over on the show that they thought, oh, this is just a setup, they're coming up, and, Biden's not going to... Well, they were saying before the convention, which I wouldn't step on, a lot of them were saying before the convention, Biden's not going to be the nominee at the convention, which he eventually was. And I never thought, I figured, because if they did that, that's usually, if you do a substitute like that, that's usually a disaster for your side.
Right.
Once it's kind of like once you go to the dance with the one you brung, if you leave with somebody else, that's just like a whole disaster going on. So, kind of once you pick your candidate and that's it, once the Democrats pick Joe Biden,
right,
they were pretty much stuck with him, no matter what, even if he's not coherent enough to do the job or whatever. But anyway, Joe's coming out of his shell, making a few appearances or stuff. As Susan Shelley said yesterday, The first, if there is, and there's even a lot of speculation, is Joe going to show up to the debate on September 29th? That he's saying he is going to do multiple debates, because a lot of people said, well, he's not going to do any debate, but if he does a debate, he'll only do one, da-da-da-da-da. So
why would he only do one?
Well, because of
how many
his
would Trump
condition.
do?
Trump would probably do that every day and 9 times on Sunday.
Right.
That's Trump would stop the presses. He would probably just let everything go in the United States to debate, Joe Biden.
True.
But yeah, Trump would that's his wheelhouse, is doing that. And back in the day, Joe Biden was actually a pretty good debater. And I mean, I've watched several of his, a lot of his campaigns and speeches on the Senate floor and advocate.
Right. Well, he had to be somewhat good to
Right.
make it
I mean,
as far as he did.
Right.
I mean,
As not back in the day, Biden was a pretty good talker. I've never been impressed with the way he's put it, or his mental capacity to do it, or some of the thought, especially the policy. Most of the time we disagreed, but he was a good. He was not a stumble blank,
right,
running around, da-da-da-da. I mean, he was articulate. He could get his point across even if he didn't agree with it. Now, he can barely say 3 words with that. Here was the big deal. And, yeah, here was a big deal, and I forgot to get the clip of it, but there was a deal. We went through the deal with Hillary Clinton and what was it? The black lady that was her campaign. On her campaign, it was not Donna Shalala, but whatever. She was one of Hillary's henchwomen, went over to work with CNN. CNN is giving Hillary Clinton the questions before the debate on the Trump debate.
No.
Yes.
No.
Donna Brazile was giving, she was one of Hillary's.
How would she get them?
Because she's working for CNN now. She worked for Hillary.
But
for
why
years,
would they
back
even
to
allow
Arkansas.
anyone to have them except for who's asking them?
Because the debates are private. Debates are not public. They're not part of our government. That's why they're put on by the League of Women Voters or Fox News or CNBC or whatever on the deal. They're just, you agree. People think that they are, like government or, that they're not.
No, I know that, but it should be the one person who's asking the questions, maybe like some executive producers or
this
something.
This has been
that
going
know
on
that. No,
for eons. I mean, it goes on in the local. Pop can tell you about that. We've run through this stuff, and many others around here. This is not the first time this has happened. Setups on debates and stuff, but it was Joe Biden's reading what they were doing, like a town. Okay, let's say town hall. You recently did a recent town hall meeting a couple of days ago. So town hall meeting is you're supposed to answer the question. Stephanie walks up and asks a question about schools and why aren't schools being open or something.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da. It's your question. He doesn't know what's coming. You ask the question. He's supposed to answer it. Well, he says, can you run back the dial a little bit on that? So what they're doing is they're having, and this is the same thing, on these, you've got to watch. A lot of these town halls are supposed to be supposed people that are coming up and asking questions, or town hall meetings or stuff are bogus.
What do you mean run back the dial?
Because
the time?
That was the question. The question, he already knew the answer. The person that was asking the question, in my view, and I would bet the farm, your farm, and everybody else's farm on it, the question was already written out, was given to the questioner. Joe Biden already had the canned answer to it. They had to actually, because Joe can't remember, I believe, they actually had a teleprompter, which is like a machine that goes out there that you read, that the news people read off of that. So sometimes the teleprompter, or as you see like we do, you'll get ahead or move the, we'll get ahead on that, and I'll say back up the deal, da-da-da-da-da. They got ahead of it. He didn't know what the answer was, so he's like panicking, saying back up the tape on that. The only reason you would say that is if you already had the answer to the question on the deal. This is what goes, and this is not new. I'm not necessarily saying this is the first time this has ever happened, because it's happened thousands of times. This is why you can't believe, and especially if you've never, if you've never been on the inside of this stuff or seen it or know what's happening, most people, this stuff blows right by.
Right.
But if you've been around it enough.
But do you think that's probably because people didn't care before? Like, I think that people are starting to care more now.
I hope
think
so.
because iNewswire is discussing it and we're educating people.
Boy, you're on it.
But I truly believe that people just didn't care. People were too trusting, and I feel like the world is becoming a little less trusting.
Well, I hope so, because this is the problem of not caring or not paying attention.
Right.
It's like
you lose Halloween.
Yes, Halloween's out, and everything else, and
Now it's hitting me. Now I'm pissed.
Well, if that's what it takes.
Damn it. How am I going to get my candy? I make my kids go and get it.
Yeah, your kids.
Now I got to go and freaking buy it.
The one advantage of having 4 kids is going out there and grabbing all this candy. And no, well, I can't rate the kids' candy box when they get.
And I was going to make them go old school with the pillowcases this year.
Wasn't that great?
It was. Me and my sister, we'd fill up our pillowcase. It was like, oh.
Yeah, but there you go. I mean, this is what's the effect of not doing or paying attention to this stuff, or blowing by that, or arguing or telling some of us who've been saying this, oh no, we don't know what we're talking about. You're just
half the
making
time
this
you
stuff
don't,
up,
but yeah,
of that.
You're lucky.
Now you're seeing the evidence, or now it's becoming even more clear because you've let the old saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So the more you let them get away with this kind of stuff, the more you're going to, the more they're just going to keep doing that. Like Mason Weaver said, leave the plantation. If you don't stand up to the plantation owner, he's just going to put the clamps down on you more. He's going to make you work harder for less.
Why?
Because people are predisposed to evil.
I'm still going back to my kids not getting Halloween candy.
But it is, and even
how am I going to tell my kids there's no Halloween?
Well,
see, now it's all hitting me
again. But it's like kids, and it's just human nature. You have to teach your kids how to do things right from wrong, because they naturally will. Most of the time will pick the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, right. Or do, like run out in the street, or they don't, you got to say you can't do that, or, you've got to show them the right way.
All day long.
Of that, or, oh, well, why can't we just blow this stuff up? Well, there's consequences to that, and you ain't going to like them if you do that. So, people are predisposed to the negative, to do the wrong thing, and you have to, you have to train, or you have to work at building that, what's right and wrong in that, and seeing these situations. And I think we're seeing in 2020, we're seeing a culmination of, of all of this stuff and how it has the effect.
Of a lot of messed up. I'm trying to watch my mouth on this one. I can't wait.
It is hard to, I will admit.
Well, now it's really starting to get old. Like before, I always tried to stay positive. I mean, we talk about COVID and lockdowns a lot on the show. But now I'm really kind of over it. When's it going to end? And we're coming up to frickin' Halloween. And now Halloween's canceled?
Throwing earplugs now.
Well,
wow.
They're plugged in, so I knew they weren't going to go very far.
Of that, but no, I understand. I mean,
and now the presidential debates are rigged. Probably.
Again, well, like you said, it came out and everybody was
but that's why I'm so nervous about this voting year.
But
I don't even
It was like that when people were shocked. There was gambling going on in Cuba back in the day before they went to the Castro deal, and
what the hell are you talking about?
Well, back in Cuba was a very rich country, and they had hotel resorts and gambling and that's kind of an old saying. You're shocked to see gambling going on in Cuba. Gambling going on here because they were a very high exclusive area until Castro turned it into communism. Again, you want to see what everything free is? Go look at Cuba for the last 50 years. You don't have to go to Venezuela, which happened here just recently. Cuba's been under this for 50, 60 years now. They were a very wealthy country. lots of opportunity, everything else, and Castro and his communistic regime flushed it all down the toilet. So it does, and again, it's kind of like going up the hill. It takes a long time to build anything successfully, business, country, your life, anything. You know, it's a long struggle time. But the ride downhill is very fast.
Right.
Drive up the hill. It takes a lot of horsepower, slow. Going up the hill. Going down the hill is, man, like, that.
And now you guys know how hills work.
There you go. And then that's the thing, is once you start climbing that hill, you got to be ever more protective of it, because the higher you get up the hill, if you lose it, the quicker and faster you're going to fall. So that's why it becomes, even as you get collectively, individually, as a country, as yourself, as you get more successful and you get more stuff, or more successful, more opportunity, that you got to be more protective of it, because at that point in time, if the wheels come off the wagon, it's really going to be a bad train wreck.
Okay. Well, now I don't want to go up the damn hill. What if I wear like elbow pads, knee pads, and a helmet?
Well, we may be in for that.
No, we all came down that freaking hill pretty damn quick in 2020.
Yes, that's
we
what
went
I
right
say.
into a freaking wall.
That's what I say. I mean, we're on, we're potentially on that teeter-tot where.
But you know, with all these fires, with COVID, like all this stuff, it's back to back to back to back.
And that's what I say. I mean, I'm not really kidding, and I usually didn't say this, but I mean, we're like that close, to getting that tipping point, or getting down to running down the hill where they're, like the runaway train wreck. There's that point of runaway turn. You're only going to crash.
30 seconds.
No, I agree. I hope that soon we can all turn it around and make, I would say 2021 better, but I don't know. Do you think 2021 will be any better?
I hope so. I hope everybody makes the right decision.
I guess we'll find out in November how great 2021 is going to be.
Okay, here we go. 10 seconds.
Follow Steer the Line on Twitter and Facebook, and visit steertheline.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Guitar music comes on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 on the Mighty Bet 1490 KMET, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire, and all of you listening on KMET are joining us. For all those who have tuned into us on IE Newswire live at 5, where we start at Facebook and YouTube both, and maybe we'll be expanding that in the future across the social media podcasting network, so you can pick us up on all sorts of that. We covered the fires, the homeless, $750,000 a unit. Steve, we'll pick the Stephen A, who's on there. That we'll pick up the homeless on that. But if you don't think there's a problem when they're spending $750,000 a copy on homeless units, we got to talk about that. I mean, really, seriously, I'd really like to know your perspective. Maybe we'll get you to call in and we'll get a debate going on that. But we haven't had him on in a long time. He's been out and about and doing all sorts of great and wondrous things. He's the owner of Toyota of San Bernardino, Subaru San Bernardino, and I-10 Toyota out in Indio. But more importantly, this show, he has his finger on the pulse of most everything, politics and stuff like that, and Lord knows we talk a lot about that. Cliff Cummings, welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks. It's been a while. I'm glad to be here.
You got it. Anything on your mind? Just let her rip.
Well, that's like a battle of wits. I've got half an army. I think that what people need to realize is all the hype in the media is a bunch of garbage. that, number one, people don't really pay attention to an election until about another week or two from now. Then it gets serious. The debates, I think, will destroy Biden. The polls you look at, be very, very careful and look at who is being polled. If it's registered voters, the poll is worthless. If it's likely voters, it's a little bit less than worthless, better than worthless. If it's high propensity voters, that's the one you care about. And secondly, you've got to look at what the sampling is. I saw one recently where the sampling was so skewed, I'm surprised Trump didn't get shut out. So, again, it's all garbage. You know, what I like to look at is the boat parades and the guys on the corner and the people in Montana, California, Texas, wherever I happen to be going. And you look at this and go, my God, the underlying support for what this guy is doing is great. And look, we go into this with a lot of friends of mine, some of who are relatives, and I think you guys focus on how he says it. Forget about how he says it. Look at what he says and look at what he's done. And you can hate his guts. I don't care. Look at what we've gotten done. You know, now the pandemic, that's a whole new problem that I think that the entire country got put together by Fauci. And if you look at his history, just look him up and see who he's been married to since 1988 or 9 with Soros and the rest of that herd. And I think we're getting past it. We're getting counties now voting to put their kids in school. Big Bear is. Counties voting to open up. I know that the economics of this it's simply not good for the average bear. We're working extremely smart, but even what they're telling you to do is not effective. I was on my way somewhere a week or two ago, and the guy said, oh, yeah, you got to stay 6 feet apart. I said, why? He said, well, because in case, you breathe. I said, well, I intend to breathe.
Yeah, I kind of got used to that.
Yeah, I like it. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt, like in Southern California, and a fire smoke, that kind of thing. But you got to do it. And then he said, well, because the germs, the virus won't go 6 feet. And I said, it won't. Okay. And it lives 45 seconds in the air. I think we've proven that all out. And doesn't live on surfaces for very long. And you get a surface in the desert, it lives for about a millisecond. Okay. And I said, well, what if I sneeze? And the guy looked at me like, oh, shit, I never thought of, what if I sneeze? That's 24, 26 feet. I got big lungs, could be 30 feet. I said, now everybody else is there, so why am I worried about 6 feet? No answer, just kind of stared at me. And I said, okay, nice conversation, I'll see you. So, again, do what you can do to feel protected and, most importantly, to protect others. But also realize that half the garbage these people are wearing on their faces are worthless. And CDC has come out with that. Now, the one thing that I find fascinating is the CDC has come out and said, oh, wait a minute, we got the death count all wrong, which you and I have been saying for the entire time we've been talking about this, Roy, and every other interview I do. The death count's wrong. I said, no kidding. Why? Is it the 3,500 phonies that came out of New York and New Jersey? The 200 phonies that came out of Pennsylvania? Is it this? I said, how about the 103-year-old proven case, 103-year-old guy with like 8 cancers and everything else, and then he catches a bug, dies, and they blame it on that to get the money. I said, tell me why. Well, now it's older people. Okay, stay home. Don't kill an economy. It's people with 2 or more high morbidity conditions. Okay, stay home. Don't kill an economy. It's the kids don't get it, right? They don't. They're very, very little. There are some incidents, sadly, of people getting it and dying, and they say, well, they didn't have anything. So how did you know? Did you go to the autopsy? Oh, no, they didn't do one. Okay, so tell me the rest of it. So is it sad? Yeah. But do you kill a world economy for something that is entirely nebulous as far as what the results are? They're made-up results. It's a money grab. We can go all down the list of what very educated doctors who are not being put on MSNBC are saying, and the studies are indicating it. And slowly but surely, states are turning around. I think it was Utah or Idaho just said, hey, kids go back to school. Well, their House said it. Now their Senate has to approve it. Or Montana, where I'm going on Sunday, they're going to close everything. And the business guys went to the governor, who, by the way, is a moron. He's probably going to run for president, Democrat. And they said, we make 75% of our revenue, business and people who work in the businesses, in 4 months. He says, ooh, okay, open up. Guess what? Everything's open. You wear a mask, and this is really how stupid it gets. You wear a mask from your car. No, I'm sorry. You walk to the door, put on your mask, you walk 13 feet to the table, and you sit down and take your mask off, and you're surrounded by people without masks. Now, how stupid is this? All right? So, okay, fine. And it is just proving, and you look at the people who have Leaving California site on Facebook, and you look and go, oh, my God, I didn't know what I was in the middle of. I had no idea how bad California is and how ridiculously run it is. I had no idea that you could do things like own a gun, buy bullets. You can go hunting. You can do fishing. You can do all this without having to pay, 16 different licenses, 14 background checks, and all the rest. I mean, they do less background checks for me to borrow $20 million than you do to buy a gun. All right? And I've been around here for 45 years. Just it's unbelievable. But still, you see the backlash. I just got news today that 2 more mega dealers in California are selling. And you know where they're going? They're going to Nevada, okay, or Texas. They're going out. And then the polling, of course, is changing around to go for President Trump. And look, I've got a little bit of a connection with a couple of guys over there, and the constant content is just shut him up, please. Love him to death. All the crap that's coming out, he has to defend himself. But for the love of Mike, and they have settled, and it's not because of me, they have settled down a whole bunch on the Twitter garbage. And again, look at the stock market. The lowest it's been this year is higher than the high point of Obama's administration. And you've got Biden out there who will be demolished in these debates. It'll be very sad if they, in fact, have it. Pelosi's trying not to have them. But that would, I think, probably be worse. Either way, he's going to lose. And I knew the day that Biden would take a brutal beating is the day he picked his vice presidential candidate. Because, one, he picked someone from California, which is theoretically a safe state for the Democrats. So you want to pick it from a swing state, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, something like that, right? So that's one. 2, it's who he picked. I mean, look at her presidential campaign, which was the Keystone Cops, Abbott and Costello, and the Three Stooges rolled into one, and she fell out, and everybody's thinking, oh, she's great, she's great, she's great. When the rest of it comes out on her, and we all know about her personal life, and we all know that she is just so far to the left that she's leading people there, and to be truthful, basically nobody votes for vice president, except with Biden, in pre-dementia. I think they'll look at her. Well, I'm glad they look at her because she's horrible. So that's the day I knew that Biden was going to lose for sure. Now, I can't wait for you to call me back in November and say, hey, you were right. 2 things happened. 1, Trump won, and 2, the pandemic is over the day after the election. So, but then they'll announce it's flu season, and here we go again. So end of the story is, I hope I'm right on all this. I will tell you that both Toyota San Bernardino and Subaru San Bernardino are at full, complete 100% plus employees from before this silliness started. The building we're building in San Bernardino, you can see it on the freeway on 215, is 96,000 square feet of one-story Toyota. We'll move into there. We met with Subaru this week, and we're going to build them a new Subaru store, which will be about probably 40,000 square feet, I guess. And then we're working on the next deal, which will be announced in probably in the next 2 weeks. We've got another deal in California. And so we're proceeding like the economy is going to be good. We know there's going to be a slowdown. It's inevitable. It's cyclical. Don't know when, never do. But we're prepared, and I think the city of San Bernardino, which is going through some pretty horrific throes right now with the mayor having his problems and this special elections. There's two of them. I'm supporting David Alexander. You've got a number of things going on in the city that have to be resolved. New city manager coming in, probably a new police chief first of the year-ish. So it goes on and on about dealing with the city, but I think one of the neat things is it's a tribute to the people of San Bernardino and its surrounding area that they support local business, and we appreciate everything they do to come in and purchase, and they are. We're in great shape. We had some inventory problems because of pieces coming out of Mexico and out of Canada that went into the U.S. to go into the vehicles. That's fixed. So actually, believe it or not, Toyota will build more cars the last 4 months of this year than they did the last 4 months of last year. So it's Katie bar the door, and we will be at, I think, just record advertising expenditures for the next 4 months, and we got to rebuild the market. But here's my question for you, my friend, and anybody who wants to call in. Why are we doing so well? Why are, other than the restaurants, and I feel for them because they're getting hosed, the stores, they're getting hosed, but you can go to other stores that are real big that probably give a lot of money to people. But why is the stock market good? We know there's some big underpinning large-type companies that have gone way up, Amazon, et cetera. Why are people not miserable? It's really intriguing to me. You go out and people are nice. I mean, they're nice. They still drive like whack jobs in California, but they're nice. And why do you think, Roy? Why do you think that we're still moving forward? Do you think it's optimism? Do you think it's the fact that a great number of people think this is way overblown? I'm not going to say hoax because it's not, but way overblown. What do you think it is?
Well, I'm going to go back to 2016 when Trump got elected. I still think the Trump supporters are probably mostly the movers and shakers of society, or the go-getters of that. They have never given up. And I think it's kind of like a Tom Del Beccaro deal in the divided era. The other side, the doom and gloomers on that, are entrenching in, seeing that slip away, so they're doing extraneously desperate things, as you see the riots they seized on the George Floyd situation, or wildfires, or whatever the deal is on the deal. But I think you're just seeing a expansion of this with the current chaotic conditions we have in 2020. And I want to pick up on something you said on the first of that about the Trump, on the Trump deal of in 2016, there was that hidden vote, or people didn't want to admit to voting for Trump or not. I like Trump the way he is, probably because I'm not saying I'm like him as business, but I mean, probably personality-wise, we say a lot of crazy things or whatever comes up the top of our head. So I enjoy the Trump Twitter honesty, the way he puts it out, talking like you're sitting down talking at the bar or whatever. I appreciate it. I see how some people can't handle that. But in the overall, that's my perspective. I think you're seeing an even deeper digging of the line in the sand on both sides. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out in this decade coming up.
Well, I'll give you most of that. I think one of the issues that probably is marginally debatable, first off, you're right. I think that the silent support is there. I think that while a great number of people who are maybe not affluent but work their butts off, I think that they support Trump along with a lot of the moneyed people. There is the underground support for this man is absolutely amazing. And I'm glad for him. He's earned it. And certainly I was thrilled when I found out that no living president supports him, which means he's doing his job. He's out there, and he is that guy who is fighting the status quo to get things done. And frankly, we all know he is getting things done. Now, they may not like what he's getting done, but he's getting tax relief. He's getting regulatory relief. He's getting money. People don't talk about the money he's put into the national parks to expand. People don't talk about the fact that he's out talking to Californians about why you have wildfires and the idiotic way they do forest management, which has been out there as a topic forever, but nobody wanted to tackle it. You see a fire captain say, oh, the reason it burned is we've got 10 times the density of trees that we really need, and you never hear from them again. Well, now you got the president going out there saying, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. So those are the kinds of things I think that he does that create a tremendous amount of goodwill in the population that carries forward. And he's doing his job. Now, he has, in my opinion, settled down a bit on the Twitter thing, and I'm okay with that. His stuff doesn't bother me because I think I've got a pretty good grip on what he's doing and why. But on the other hand, I think that other folks who maybe are less patient are saying, my God, he's just got to stop this. He's got to stop it. Well, I don't think he has to stop it. I think it's kind of cool. And it's worked, and he knows it works, so that is exactly why he's doing it. Now, as we get closer to the election, we'll keep watching. He's getting somewhat more conservative in his publications, let's put it there, and he's doing a real good job of keeping things under wraps, and I think that's what he needs to do right now. So we'll see. I mean, look, this guy's one of the smartest guys you're ever going to meet, and all this garbage they put out in the press I love this one. Now all of a sudden, the rules of journalism don't apply. An unnamed source is legitimate. And that makes me sick because I was the editor of the school newspaper, and I have friends in the newspaper business, family in the newspaper business, who are reporters, and they have ethics. And the code of ethics for these clowns who are reporting, it's just beyond the pale how they think they can get away with this and still maintain any credibility whatsoever.
And leave it to you to explain it probably better than I did. And when I say go-getters, I don't necessarily, not that I'm not, I include guys like yourself, titans of the industry, do all this stuff. But I mean the go-getter that, the person that waits tables or digs a ditch or whatever. Those are I include everybody in that. There's the two that go out there and bust their rear end no matter what or how they are in the deal. But I got three things I think that Trump did were key, and we got about 5 minutes left, so I want to get your thoughts on this. The getting us out of the bad trade deals with China, GATT, and NAFTA, making us energy independent, not only energy independent, but net energy exporter, and cutting the tax rates, especially to on high end that attracted a lot of I think over $1 trillion of capital that was overseas that was brought back to America. I think that's the three things that Trump did that have really, really, really benefited most Americans across the board. What do you think?
Well, I think that if you take them one by one, the first thing, we're going to run out of time. The first thing is bringing the capital into America. Certainly I'm witness to that. I'm watching plants that were in Mexico be rerouted back into the United States. Seeing joint ventures that were being done elsewhere being brought into the United States. I had just turned down an opportunity to do a franchise that originated out of China, and I just didn't feel comfortable with the deal, so I said no. But that is China making an American company with cars that are going to be built in Louisiana in order to offset the problems they're having in their own economy. So you're seeing countries that allegedly hate us are coming here, all right, to build things so that they can help mitigate their own internal problems. And that's a tribute to the president. The next thing is the dollar is still strong. It's a place to go. It's a safe haven. What else did you mention? You said that. Give me another one.
Yes, I think that even my key is making us not only energy independent but an exporter. That scares the crap out of the Mideast boys, Russia, and everybody else. That puts America in a much different position instead of we're always going to be energy independent. I mean, dependent on those. If we're actually net exporter on energy, I mean, that's bigger than most people can even comprehend.
We agree, and I think that you'll find that as time goes on and people become more attuned to the fact this benefit occurs because XYZ, we get realistic energy prices. We've got guys going to work. Forget about it. We got guys going to work, all right? And that is a huge thing. And energy, you know what? When the economy gets really crappy, they don't stop turning on the lights. So those are jobs that stay with us all the way through, as opposed to something that could disappear tomorrow. So again, incredibly important. So I think that once again, you've got people who are so negative about this president. And by the way, the most liberal president in my lifetime, and I'm old, right? He is the most liberal president in my lifetime. And anybody who doesn't believe that, you can go. But he's also progressive in the sense, in a good way. He has way more, higher paid female employees in the White House. They don't want to give him credit for that. They want to lie about it. And then you get these people in California who want to reelect Pelosi. And she'll probably walk in. All right? How embarrassing is that? Right? That is just a shame what this woman has done.
Yes.
And it's just a shame. And it's on her, and ultimately history will judge her, and it will judge her incredibly poorly. So, again, I think this guy's doing yeoman's work. He's doing a job that, hell, I mean, I'd love to have the job, right? Nice big plane. Yeah, my butt. This is not a job you want to have. And he's out there taking a couple of $4 or $5 billion hit to do this job. So God bless him. I am thrilled that he's doing it. And I hope that all our friends out there do get out. You know, you always run the danger when you're talking about voting that people are thinking, oh, you know what? He may be okay. I think he's going to be okay. He's probably going to win. Well, yeah, he's probably going to win. Here's the problem. He's going to win if you get out and vote. So you got to go out and you got to vote. And that's the big key right now is how are we going to keep people interested enough? Because I'm worried. You know what I'm worried about? I'm worried about the debates. I'm worried about Biden looking so poorly that people are going to go, Trump's going to walk in. I'm just not worried about it. Well, I think, frankly, you need to worry about everything all the time. And, again, this is one where we got to get the folks out to vote. It's going to be a very interesting and very quick couple of months till the election. And then all this hoopla about, oh, they're going to defraud, they're going to do this. You know, it's interesting. If you heard Zuckerberg, he said he's worried about riots in the street after the election. You know what he just told you? He just told you Trump's going to win. They know he's going to win. No matter what they do, he's going to win. So we got to worry about riots in the street. How about that? Isn't it? I found it fascinating that this guy actually said that. He's a pretty smart guy, got a lot of money, but he just admitted to everybody that Trump's going to win. Well, that's cool. So, good on him. Let's go win.
You got it, man. You're right. This time flies. We got about 30 seconds left. I'll let you wrap it up.
Thanks. I always appreciate you having me on. It's kind of good. It's good therapy. And again, it's a situation where this is incredibly important. And we just can't let the bad guys get over on us. And I'm hoping people will wake up. But truthfully, I'm not that optimistic. They're just people who are haters, and it's a shame. It really is a shame. And instead of looking at how he says it, look at what he says. That's my deal right now.
There you go. Thanks for being on. We'll do it
night,
again real soon, Cliff.
Hope so. Take care.
You got it. Thanks. Cliff Cummings, Toyota San Bernardino. Man, like you say, once you get on a roll, man, that time just really flies by. There's the outro music. We'll be back on a freaky, fast, fun Friday tomorrow with Stephanie on that, bringing you all the news of the day. Maybe we'll lighten her up a little bit, hopefully. So in 23 hours, we will see ya.